escape nearly impossible.
It was a legendary escape from a place that was supposed to be inescapable.
It was once the most guarded prison in the world.
Alcatraz.
The dreaded Alcatraz Island, the ultimate maximum security prison.
36 prisoners tried to escape, but just 3 inmates managed to escape from Alcatraz prison, and it is one of the most enduring crime mysteries in U.S. history.
Formerly a military base, Alcatraz Island opened as a federal maximum security prison in 1934. The prison was nicknamed The Rock as it was deemed unescapable, sitting on an island about 1.25 miles away from the city of San Francisco, with water surrounding the prison having around 8 degrees to 12 degrees Celsius in temperature, which was as cold as ice water, along with strong water current and dangerous predators. But this wasn't just any ordinary prison. It was a prison for the most dangerous of all prisoners, of the likes of Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud. So basically, for you to be sent to this prison, you should be so threatening, you should have successfully escaped other prison. If you play Call of Duty, I'm quite sure you know the map of Alcatraz, even more than where you live.
So this is the bioweapons lab right here, and it's really weird because I've been here, like I could literally give the tour of this island having never been on it before.
Which is why you're about to understand each building purpose and contribution to making Alcatraz prison planning so complicated and inescapable. Welcome to Alcatraz Island, the infamous prison that has captured the world's imagination for decades. Today you are going on a tour of the island's key structure, uncovering the histories and the fascinating way they interconnected. Let's begin our journey. Our tour starts where every Alcatraz story begins, the docks. The docks was Alcatraz lifeline. New inmates arrived here, stepping into the island with a mix of dread and resignation. But it wasn't just for prisoners. The dock connected Alcatraz building to the outside world, receiving supplies that kept the prison running for years. It was originally a wooden structure in 1850, but was then replaced with concrete in 1930. And as we move up from the dock, we encounter this building. Built in 1905 during the military prison era, converted to guards' apartment in 1930. This building housed the very people tasked with keeping Alcatraz secured. The guards' families lived here too, creating a domestic environment just steps away from hardened criminals. But it's crazy to know that families actually lived here on a prison island. But standing tall is Alcatraz's iconic lighthouse. It was first lit in 1854 and then rebuilt in 1909. But while it guided ships in the bay for inmates, the lighthouse was a constant reminder of the world beyond their reach. Its beam sweeping over the cell house every night. Very important but tucked away is the power plant. It was built in 1939 and provided electricity and heat for the entire island. This building quite literally powered all of Alcatraz. Without it, security system would fail and life on the island would gain to a halt. But near the power plant stands the industry building, which was constructed in 1929, then used for various inmate work programs. And here, prisoners worked on clothing and furniture, learning skills, but also providing cheap labor. It's connected to the large story of rehabilitation versus punishment in the prison system. And adjacent is the new industry building that was built in 1939 and was home to more advanced industrial programs. This building expanded on the work programs, but also played a role in famous Escape from Alcatraz in 1962. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers. You will know more on the story about their legendary escape soon. Moving on, we reach the infamous recreational yard, which was established in the 1930s, a site of both leisure and violence. While it offered an escape from cell life, this yard saw brutal fights and was a center to other escape attempts. It connects directly to our next stop, Building 69. It was built from 1908 to 1909. This is one of the oldest buildings on the island and was then later repurposed in 1934 for federal use. This building housed the library and music room, offering inmates a cultural escape. However, it later became the office club. While prisoners were locked away, guards and their families socialized there, creating a stark contrast between captivity and freedom, just yards apart. Often overlooked but vital is the storehouse, built in the early 20th century as a centralized supply management system. This building stored everything needed to run the prison. Its content reflected the daily life of Alcatraz, from food to cleaning supplies and ammunition. And finally, we reached the heart of Alcatraz, the main cell house. This imposing structure housed America's most dangerous criminals. This cell tells thousands of stories of isolation, survival, and ingenious escape attempt. The construction began in 1909 and was completed in 1912. It was originally built as a military base, but was then extensively renovated in 1934 when Alcatraz became a federal prison. The cellars had 4 stories of steel and concrete, with 336 cells, each measuring 5 feet by 9 feet, which was uncomfortably small. There were 3 main cell blocks, A, B, and C, and a D block, the solitary confinement cell, known as the O. The isolation cell in D block were used for the worst troublemakers. Inmates could be confined there for days in near total darkness without food. The harsh conditions in these cells were a constant threat looming over the prison population. But surprisingly, the cell house contained 2 libraries. The main library had over 15,000 books and a secondary library available for the inmates to study. The main corridor of the cell house was nicknamed Broadway by the inmates. This was where most of the daily movements occurred, from heading on straight lines to meals and also their work programs. The cell house of Alcatraz was more than just a collection of bars and concrete. It's a complex microscope of human experience where hopes and despair coexisted, where brutal violence occurred alongside intellectual pursuits, and where the human spirit was constantly tested against the harsh realities of imprisonment. As we have seen, each building on Alcatraz played a crucial role in the island's complex ecosystem, from the docks where it all began to the cellars where so many stories unfolded. These structures are the interconnected chapters in the legend of the Rock. The power plant kept the lights on and the security system running. The industry building aimed at rehabilitation. The recreational yard and Building 69 offered a brief escape, but were also sites of violence, and overseeing it all, the lighthouse stood as a constant reminder of the world beyond, giving the inmates an illusion of being constantly watched. Together, these buildings tell the story of Alcatraz, a place of contradiction where the worst of society was housed on some of the most prime real estate in the country, where families lived just steps away from hardened criminals, and where the closeness of freedom made imprisonment more agonizing. But with all this prison was no match for these 3 men. On the night of June 11, 1962, 3 men vanished from Alcatraz Federal Prison, a feat many believed impossible. This is the story of one of the most daring prison escapes in history. America's most notorious prison, surrounded by the frigid waters of San Francisco Bay. It was said to be escape-proof, but Frank Morris, West, and the Anglin brothers John and Charles were about to put that claim to test. For months, they had been planning their escape, later discovering there was an unsealed vent just behind their cell that they could use to get to the roof of the prison and escape. But this wasn't just going to be that easy. Using stolen and discarded materials, they painstakingly dug through the walls of their cell, using spoons and other tools they made themselves. They crafted dummy heads from toilet paper, soap, and real air to fool the guards during nighttime checks, so they could climb up to the utility corridor where they made life vests and a raft made from raincoats gotten from other inmates. And this went on for months as there was less than 30 minutes a day to carry out this preparation. Hey guys, before we get to the next part of the story, I just want to say, if you find these videos interesting, please consider turning on the notification bell for Omega. I am working on some even bigger projects right now, so if you want to see them when they're ready, just hit the notification bell now. And also, I want to say a massive thank you for watching this channel. Honestly, I really appreciate your comments and support, so thank you for everything. Now, let's get back to the story.
Some men are destined never to leave Alcatraz alive.
On the night of June 11, after night out, they made their move. They placed the dummy heads to fool the guards, giving them an head start to escape. The men squeezed through the vent that slowly widened over time, climbed up the utility corridor where Frank Morris and the brothers waited for West, but he never showed up, so he was later left behind. Then the trio emerged onto the prison roof. From there, they slid down the pipes to the ground and made their way to the shore, where they assembled their raft, then they vanished. June 12th, the morning following their escape, a guard was to wake the prisoners, later discovering Morris was still asleep, and it wasn't until the guard reached onto Morris' cell and pushed his head, only for it to roll away and hit the ground, that the guard realized that there had been an escape, leaving behind a mystery that endures to this day. Did they survive the treacherous currents of the bay, or did they perish in the attempt by predators? The FBI closed the case in 1979, concluding that the men likely drowned, but absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Over the years, tantalizing clues have emerged. The card allegedly sent by the Anglin to the family members, a photo portrait showing the brothers in Brazil, even a deathbed confession from a man claiming to have helped them after their escape. A former Alcatraz guard, Jim Albert, said, and I quote, "I've always believed they made it. Those men were smart, determined, and had nothing to lose. If anyone could do it, it was them."
So if you find these guys, what's the first thing you would say?
You're under arrest.
Cecilia Vega,
Just in case.
ABC News, San Francisco.
So what really happened to the Alcatraz escapees? Did they beat the odds and find freedom? Or did the so-called escape-proof prison claim its final victim? We may never know for certain, but one thing is for sure. Their daring attempt has captivated the public imagination for over 60 years. And as the case remains open, the legend of the Great Escape from Alcatraz will live on. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, you might also want to know about this $2.3 billion screen in Las Vegas. And with that, I will see you in the next video.